Hello Year 11, today we're going to look at some sentences that can help improve your grade. You have your mock exam next week, so learning some of these sentences will really raise your AO6 and your AO5, because if you use this kind of sentence you're really clear in your meaning, so you get AO5 grades, and you're also going to be demonstrating your ability to use punctuation and grammar, so you'll raise your AO6 grade. So these sentence types are worth using. Just a word of warning, don't just use them randomly. When you are planning, because you should do a plan, think about which sentences sound best in which paragraphs. Just use your common sense. And if you're explaining, use an explaining one. If you're emphasizing, use an emphasizing one, and so on, because you only get the marks when the sentences fit what you're writing about. So in the middle here, we have a boring sentence. The statue stood feeling sad. And here are some examples of sentence types that you can use for anything. But what we're going to do today is look at how they improved this sentence. The statue stood feeling sad. These work for paper 1 or paper 2. So the first one is a sentence with not only and but also in it. Not only did the statue feel sad, but also exposed and vulnerable. This sentence helps you connect two ideas within one sentence, so you're being more thoughtful, and remember, thoughtful is something they're looking for. So if you were talking about pollution, you might say, not only is pollution unpleasant, but it also harms animals. If you were talking about facilities in schools, you could say, not only are sports facilities popular, but they also increase general health. Yeah, so whatever you're writing about, if you want to add more than one answer in one sentence, you can use that one. So. For so here we are using, we're using it to emphasize. So you repeat so as many times as you need to. Its sadness was so strong, so overwhelming, the statue began to tremble and the dust began to shake. You might say something like, pollution is so problematic and so disgusting that we must ban it immediately. You just use so and then so, and it emphasizes something. Brackets. A lot of people say, well, I don't know when to use brackets. If you start your brackets with although, you're doing two things. One, you're showing that you can use brackets, and two, you are showing that you're aware of the reader, because although means you're thinking about them arguing back, and then you're refusing it. My classes will know I always talk about thinking about the person, arguing back, and then refusing it. The statue felt sad, although the diggers couldn't know this, and wished he could return to his previous position. So you've got although here, the diggers couldn't know this. So you're thinking, okay, well the reader's going to say, well, the statue hasn't told anyone they're sad. And so you've put the although in there to show that you know the other side. You might say something like, not using plastic cups is possible, although you might find it difficult at first, because reusable cups are plentiful and cheap. Yeah? So that would be about pollution, about not throwing away plastic cups. You've thought of the although, we might find it difficult at first, but you're saying actually no, it's easy. Yeah? School facilities are affordable, although schools are strapped for cash at the moment, and can easily be bid for if you know which government authority to ask. So there you're talking about the practical side of getting some more school facilities. So if you put brackets and you start it with although, it does two things. It shows that you know the reader and you're answering the reader's queries, and you know how to use brackets. Okay, triple noun colon. This is where you put 3 nouns and then a colon, and then you talk about the nouns. This is quite emotive. The nouns are often abstract nouns like emotions, but you can do it with practical things. Fury, anger, dismay. The statue felt his sadness slip away and was replaced with more damaging emotions. Okay, so you might want to do one if we're looking at pollution and we're looking at school facilities. You could talk about, for pollution, dirt, filth, detritus. These are the things that float in our oceans. Yeah, so dirt, filth, detritus, they're all words for dirt. and then these are the things that float in our oceans. For facilities, you could think of abstract nouns for feeling good at school. So fun, happiness, joy. These are the products of a well-equipped PE department. So then you're going to say, well, it's really nice to have enough equipment. So 3 things, either 3 feelings or 3 strong nouns. Put in a colon. So again, you're showing for your AO6 that you can use different punctuation. And then say something about them. Adverb beginning. This is one that they actually teach in primary school now. So if you haven't used it since primary school, you may have to search your memory. It's really easy. Instead of putting the adverb right next to the verb, or at the end, you put it at the start. Tragically, no one had asked the statue how he felt about being dug out of the ground. Luckily, organisations like Greenpeace are actively trying to clean up the oceans. Thoughtfully, our teachers look after our equipment very well. All you do is you put your adverb, which is your word that describes what is happening, that ends with ly, at the start of the sentence. This one's good as well if you find that you're proofreading and all your sentences start with I, me, I think. This just a really good way of flipping it around so it doesn't start with I, or me, or I think, is to start it with an adverb. With a verb, contemplating his situation, the statue's eyes gaze solemnly across the land. So again, all you do is you look at your sentence and you think, I'm going to start with the verb. Cleaning up our beaches, Greenpeace works tirelessly. Or planning excellent lessons requires the right equipment. Just make sure that the first word in the sentence is a verb. Again, this is a good one for avoiding starting with I. Yeah, just think one time I'm going to use a verb, another time I'm going to start with an adverb, and here is another one starting with an adjective, but you make it even better because you use 2 of them. So 2 adjectives and the rest of the sentence. Furious and helpless, the statue began to curse the diggers. If you were in your lesson and you were thinking about, let's do a different non-fiction topic, why you should revise, you might say something like, sad and despondent, I tried and tried to pass my test. Yeah, so you're talking about your 2 emotions there and you're using adjectives for that. You don't have to do it for that. You could talk about, if we were on the same topic about revision, you could say something like, thorough and neat, my revision folder is always by my side. Yeah, just 2 adjectives and then the rest of your sentence. Okay, so this is another one where you're using repetition. So it shows that your ability to use repetition, which is a method for your AO5, but it also obviously shows you can structure a sentence for your AO6. You just use less 3 times. And I've also seen people use fewer 3 times. So less, or fewer. You repeat it 3 times and it structures your sentence, and it makes sure that you're using a longer sentence. The less the statue saw of the ground, the less sure he was that he would ever be returned to his earthly throne, and the less sure he was that he was going to like this new exposed position. So it's less. It emphasizes. It's a bit like that one. It emphasizes. You can use less, or fewer. You could say something like, the fewer plastic cups we use, the fewer plastic cups we'll throw away, and the fewer plastic cups will poison animals out at sea. So, yeah, less, or fewer. It produces a nice long sentence with repetition, again showing your skills. Again, you use it when you're emphasizing. This one is a juxtaposition one, a contrast one. You make sure that in your mind you're going to use fortunately and then unfortunately. And of course you could do anything. You could do luckily and unluckily, happily and unhappily. So use a word and then the un version. Fortunately, the diggers had no intention of moving the statue. Unfortunately, the statue didn't know this important fact. You could say, fortunately, my school has many pieces of beautiful playground equipment. Unfortunately, my little brother's school does not. Is this fair? Or you could say, luckily, I had done all of my revision well in time for the test. Unluckily, some students hadn't. My teacher's face was unimpressed. So yeah, see, fortunately, unfortunately, luckily, unluckily, and the method that one adds is contrast. This is another one that you're going to think, okay, I know how to use this, because once you know how to use less, 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 fewer, 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 so, you can use more, more, more to emphasize. The more dirt that was shifted away, the more of the statue's belly was exposed, and the more indignant the sacred relic became. So more, more, more. The more paper cups get thrown in the ocean, the more rubbish accumulates, and the more animals are in danger. The more revision that I do, the more intelligence that I accumulate, the more information I can remember. Yeah, it just works really well to emphasize. And finally, whoever and whenever. So you're talking about who does something and when they do it, but it's much more sophisticated sounding than writing two separate sentences, because you're linking the ideas together. You might have in your mind the who, what, where of what you're going to write about, but here you're going to link two of them together. It's more thoughtful than just saying who, da-da-da-da, when, da-da-da-da. You're showing that they're linked. Whoever denies the poor help, and whenever that happens, deserves our contemptuous disparagement. So, this is one where you are pushed to put this end bit in, deserves our contemptuous disparagement. That means deserves us to look down on them, because once you've said the who and the when, you've got to kind of say how they're linked. So another one might be, whoever provides us with equipment, and whenever they do this, we are extremely grateful. So you're saying whoever gives us the equipment, and whenever they give us the equipment, what's the connection? It results in gratitude. That is showing you're being thoughtful, which is part of the mark scheme. You could also do a whoever, whenever about pollution. You could say, whoever throws their plastic cup on the ground, and whenever they do this, they are fully deserving of our contempt and disgust. Yeah, so you're saying, yeah, I'm absolutely disgusted with someone who throws it down. You're not saying, sometimes people throw paper cups on the ground and I'm disgusted with that. It actually sounds angrier if you do a whoever, whenever. Whoever picks up plastic cups off the ground, and whenever they do this, they are a shining example to everyone else. So you can do it the other way and say, it's really good to help tidy up. Just sounds more sophisticated. And that's quite a nice one where you've got quite a simple idea and you want it quite passionate. Okay, so those are some sentences. My suggestion to you now would be you take a screenshot or you write these down. You practice using them in a practice paper, and you might not remember all of them, but by your real exam you should. And then you can pop them in, and they are really good at methods. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Good luck with your revision, and good luck with your mock exam on Tuesday.